during COVID. There you go, Samira. Thank you. You might have seen this before. If you've had a fabulous day today, whatever that means, go near the screen. And if you've had a, it's okay, you're here. Oh, there we go. And if it was like nightmare, you're over here. And you might hear or here as well. Or maybe a combination. That feels a bit sort of, yeah. So, shall we begin? Thank you everyone for joining us. There may be people, there was over 80 registered, there may be people popping in. We know with webinars, it's usually around half of who register, who join. And we're looking today at systemic constellations and also some sculpting, and there's demos. And then we also want you to have a go. So it's experiential, and we've thrown some theory in there, which won't be heavy. We're just pointing a few things out on a few slides, and you'll get the full, full slides later. So we'll always send those round so that you can dive into the references deeper if you want to. So there we are. And let's see what we've got here. We have from the beginning. Ta-da! Okay, so there's me and my partner in crime, Samira, and some of the organizations that we've worked with globally and especially in the Middle East. And let's begin. So there's a way to share what you understand right now in terms of what is a constellation. Either take your mute off or share in the chat, absolute blur. What is a constellation?
Hi.
Hi.
A constellation is a group of elements that create one system, like a family, like a digestion system, like the car that consists of all the elements that makes it functional.
Perfect. Thank you. And anyone else, anything to add to that?
Claire, is constellation referring also to star systems in English?
Absolutely. And that's where the name originally came from, in terms of, in its essence, in its simplicity, a group of stars.
And I find it interesting because when you think about it, a constellation itself, if you're looking at stars, they are not connected to each other. They're connected because of the observer. And I think there is something about that.
So what I love about that is also the way with Gestalt, when we look at the whole picture, it's almost as if we're drawing lines between the spaces. And we even see that when we see the constellations, and the whole tells so much more than the individual parts. And there's commonalities, and there's resonance and dissonance. The other thing I like about the stars is the fact that even when we look up to the sky and see them, how old are they? How far away? That one may be brighter, but older or younger. And it goes this way and it goes this way.
And some of them are not there anymore, but we still see their light, and they still influence the way we perceive the constellation.
And isn't that just so relevant in teams and organizations where someone moves on, but their ghost stays behind, even their energy stays behind and is still a part of the system and can even impact what's going on in the system. Anything in the chat, Samira?
And yes, we have many answers here. Set of elements, Catherine says. Marie says a group of elements connected together, subsystem of a larger whole, and so on. So, and interconnection says.
Fabulous.
I don't know. I'm gonna pronounce the name and take the risk. Agnieszka?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
that's correct. Brilliant.
Thank you. So let's move on. So notice here, sourcing wisdom from the system. Systems have knowledge, and quite often we don't uncover all that is there. So I looked at a few different dictionaries, the quality of having experience, knowledge, good judgment, being wise, but also using it, collecting that knowledge and catapulting it into similar or absolutely unique situations in the future is something that we can do from work with constellations. So keep this picture in mind because you're going to use it in a minute. To understand is to perceive patterns. Keep that in mind. And this one I love. To climb steep hills requires slow pace at first. So we're going to take just a few minutes to slow down completely. Keep this picture in mind and think about to understand is to perceive patterns. We're going to play a piece of music and either close your eyes and relax, or if you want to journal, do what you need to do to connect with understanding, to perceive patterns, and to be fully present for the remainder of this session. Music maestro. So we invite you to put one word in the chat of how you feel right now. And it's interesting, I just so calm there, Marie. I always know that blue calms me down, and just today I read there's research that it actually lowers blood pressure, which is fascinating. Any others to read out, Samira?
So we do have relaxed, blessed, soothed, relaxed, elevated, inspired, relaxed, present, uplifted, blessed, inspired, present, calm.
Beautiful. So in our system, a group of people on this call right now, we've got all of that. And there's some resonance and there's some different things in there as well. So this is the roadmap for the session. What's a systemic constellation? We're doing a sculpt demonstration, and then you're going to practice, and then we're having one more activity. We'll break out so you can think about ideas to use the application of the work, and then debrief and theory, and then we'll share examples of some of the constellations we've done. So systemic constellation, we've shared quite a lot already. Using them in organizations is a fabulous way to hear the hidden voices in the system. You can do constellations in absolute silence, either on screen or in person, where people move about depending on what's going on for them in terms of a topic or in terms of how they feel right now in the moment, being there in the system with the team or the group. And then there's also self-constellations. So this is work that obviously brings in the systems of the individual, which can bring in nested systems, systems within systems, and it's fabulous work to do one-on-one. So the origin of this work come from Bert Hellinger way back, and he had a fascinating time actually ethnography, really, living with Zulus and practicing with them, and then moved into psychotherapy, and his name is like, whoa, one of the founders of Gestalt therapy. And then in a shortcut in recent years, these techniques have also been found to be effective in coaching as well, because they enable learning to take place and connection to happen. And I said the slides in full will come later. So what we're looking at are not family constellations, but what we term professional constellations, to do with individuals and their career or their life coaching, or in organizations, whole organizations when it's SMEs, or particular teams or groups of people that need to work together, or brand new project teams, many different ways that they can be used. So here's one example of people physically moving in a constellation, and then we freeze and we speak to individuals. There's a bit of humor going on there. And then it's also a shift in terms of the next statement. People may move to a different place. So this we can't do in person right now together, and we will be working online shortly to have a go with our name in terms of where we are against particular stimulus. And what we're going to do first, is look at some of the pointers. So constellations bring real issues to life. It is amazing and almost like just rewarding and uplifting and deep and emotional how systemic constellations can bring out the truths of what's really going on. And the word really needs to be stressed there. And it can be amazing things, and it can be conflict. And it can be also grief. For example, if someone in a team has sadly been made redundant, or a business has to close, these things are all present in our systems. It gives space and freedom and voice, so even the quieter people get heard, and we'll explain the way that that happens. And it discovers all levels of being, so we can bring in the cognitive, the emotional, the somatics, what's going on internally, and so forth, and bringing in Gestalt in terms of recognizing the big pictures, and then things like parallel processes and what's happening here, and where's there a parallel in other departments or other organizations in the field that you're working in, and so forth. And they do have a wider ripple of impact, and checking in on that after the session, after a while, after a week, even way down the line, and with real what we call proper team coaching engagement, you know, over 6-9 months a year, even the work is rippling way beyond that. So some of the tools which we're not going deep into today, you'll see examples of them. Powerful questioning, so not only what we say, but how we say it. Active listening, deep democracy, the work of Nancy Klein and so forth. Spaciousness, noticing and being present with silence, and sometimes even stretching that a little bit further than we're comfortable with. And then toots, the work of John Lewis Joyce, taking time out of time, stopping whatever's going on for people to freeze, and either to share what's been observed or ask them to comment on what is going on in terms of, for example, process and many other things that may be happening. So, what are you experiencing right now in terms of the systems that you live and work in? Either speak out or write some things in the chat. I'm going to give you 60 seconds. Would anyone like to share verbally? It can feel lonely when you've got your slides on.
I can say something, Claire.
Thank you, Michael.
I do some work remotely with MBA students on an MBA in France, and I can see in that system a lot of anxiety, extra anxiety. There's always anxiety in an MBA system anyway, due to competition and uncertainty and transitions and social pressures. And then on top of that, COVID, with all of the disruptions to their experience, some of them getting COVID, the fears that come from that, maybe worries for their family systems. So yeah, and disruption to the experience that they're wanting to have on the MBA. And I see that playing into the group dynamics of the groups that I coach there, and the individual experience.
And what came up for me when you were saying that, I just couldn't help thinking what's in and out of their control. And there's so much of that that's out of their control.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. Anyone else like to share?
Claire, I put it in the chat box, but one of the teams I'm working with, they are experiencing both joy and pain at the same time. So it's acknowledging the joyous moments, but also the painful experiences that are happening alongside that joy. So
Yeah. And sometimes it's hard to celebrate when there's such polar things going on. It's almost like giving permission to. Anyone else? Maybe one more. Anything in the chat that needs sharing, Samira?
So it's joy and pain, as Mary said, burnout, collaboration, support, work system, uncertainty, lack of communication, feeling of being left out, and anxiety, collaboration, the new norms, and meeting fatigue. So true.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks for sharing. So a little while ago, here was some of the things that on a different call came out, and this was about 6 months ago. And I'm wondering what shifted in our wider systems to how this was sort of, if I say mid-COVID, I know we don't know when we're there, but this was a few months into COVID. Just see what's resonant. Just see from those things what's heavy for you, for those you work with, and for their clients. And which things were heavy and maybe lighter now. And how comfortable are you at being with what's going on?
I'm curious, Claire, that fear is not on that list. Maybe it was too hard to name.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe it's subsumed. Great noticing.
Yeah, just a thought about that, Michael. Sometimes as coaches, we can want to sweep over those difficult things like fear, challenge, and move into the positive. And I think it is important that as coaches, we can name these things. Sometimes I notice when I'm working with groups of coaches that they want to flip over that very quickly. So it's a great noticing, Michael.
And being with the clients where they are at. Absolutely. So what we're going to do now is a demonstration, and Alex has very kindly, well, I did ask him, very kindly said, I paid him $10,000, very kindly said that he would join us to do this demonstration today. So if I share my whiteboard, first of all, I'll explain what we're doing. Samira, could you pin Alex?
Yes, I can pin him.
Fabulous. Just so I can see your face as well, Alex. So what we're going to do is, so some people say there's a big difference between a sculpt and a constellation. Some people say constellations can subsume sculpts. We are doing, there we go, he's on the board. We are doing a sculpt about whatever topic Alex would like to work on today. And it is absolutely free in terms of whatever you choose, Alex, bearing in mind, this is being recorded. And if after the call you want to listen back and decide if you want this bit deleting or not, then we always have the option to do that.
Very well.
So is there anything else in terms of contracting that you would like to bring into this 10, 12 minutes together today? I think we've already started.
So on the contracting side, no, I'm just coming with curiosity. And what I would like to discuss today is something that I'm toying with since a while, which will be to do a PhD.
Okay. So in terms of doing a PhD, and I'm just noticing that you wrote the word doctorate.
Yep. I don't know what is the difference, to be frank, in English, but in French, it's PhD doesn't exist. It's a doctorate. It's a doctoral title that you get.
So it's interesting because in the UK, it's PhD or Doctor of Philosophy, Education, and so forth. Yeah, interesting. So in terms of this doctorate, what's playing out in your personal system in terms of getting that doctorate?
So what's playing out? There's a question, where to start, really, because there is something about myself, I guess, around a wish that I have since a long time. But it has an impact, of course, on my family. So there is my wife, and there is also two little people over there, you know. And that the reality for the moment is that they are very small, and to a large extent in my system, you know, like when you're young, you're at the center of your system, and as you grow up, you build a family, you start to become more like peripheral to it. So currently it's not something that I see myself doing while the girls are very young, but it's something that I'm putting my mind to, that I would really love to do when I'm in the wrong side of the 40s.
And how long's this doctorate been present in your system?
How long? That I'm really, really considering it, you know, like if I was to draw, like, I think when I started doing my coach studies, actually, you know, like I remember discussing it with you like a few years back, like, I don't know, like, is it what, 6-7 years ago? But if I'm honest, it is something that I have from way before. Like I love books. There is something in the system that is not apparent, maybe, but there is a grandfather over there, you know, who was a teacher in schools. And I guess like being a doctorate would be the first person in the family to go there.
The first person in the family to go there. What's there?
So what's there? I think it's kind of an accomplishment. You know, it's going. So what's there? It's an interesting question, because it's more than just like a book that you're writing. It's an exploration, and from all this period of time, you know, like from when I left my parents' house till today, I lived in more than 10 countries. I explored a lot of places, and I kind of lost this interest on the way. You know, now I'm happy being a little bit more stable, but I still have something around discovery, and exploring a topic in detail is quite attractive, and you know, putting all of that into a document. So there is like an in-depth understanding of a topic.
So I noticed two things then. When you said the word discovery, it went discovery, and then When you said interesting understanding of a topic, what came up for me was it felt a little bit more serious. Is there anything there for you?
It is a bit more serious in the sense also of which topic. You know, which topic will sustain an interest for such a long time, you know, between 3 and 6 years.
Mm.
So there is a decision somehow that is having a bit of consequence, because if you lose interest in the topic, it might be a painful journey.
Mm. Where's that in your body?
I think in my chest,
Mm.
over here. I mean, you don't see, but over here.
Thank you. Mm. How painful is that?
Not much, because I'm not putting too much pressure on myself. As I mentioned, I don't see it as an urgent topic. I'm not really in a rush. So I let it mature somehow, and I already see like a few places of interest that would be worth exploring. I mean, I'm not a lazy person, but I like to optimize things. So I could see it relating to what I'm currently doing, or what I'm, you know, merging my data collection with what I'm working on would be great.
Mm. So I'm hearing win-win.
Yeah.
Mm. You seem to light up then.
Sorry?
You seem to light up. Your eyes went lighter.
I'm wondering basically if there will not be a way for me to start collecting data about a topic that I could write later on, and prepare something already. That is what I have in mind over here.
Mm. How easy is that?
So how easy is that? Technically, it is not complicated, because data is it's just in my power to collect. The problematic is much more which data to collect.
Mm.
So that will mean refining a bit more what topic I want to work on.
Mm.
And it's somehow give a direction to my career as well. You know, because then it's putting the doctorate as a central part of my career evolution, versus being more opportunistic around what jobs are presenting themselves.
Mm.
Or alternatively, it could mean also changing the doctorate topic depending on what are the next possibilities job-wise.
Mm. Mm. That felt lighter.
Yeah, because it's pushing the decision at a later stage somehow.
Mm.
And there is certitude in, you know, it's not about getting locked by a choice that is just about an intellectual idea versus a reality of what I'm doing currently, which I love as well.
Mm. Mm. And I remember you mentioned the other side of 40, and you also talked about your two girls and their ages.
Yeah.
What's there in the system about delaying this?
I feel good about it. I have my priorities well in order, and I know what it means to work long hours. I manage to orientate my career to put limits to that. So I'm not ready to engage myself in a journey that will bring me really like that will reduce a lot the time I can dedicate to the family. So this is non-negotiable somehow for me. You know, like your kids are young only for a brief amount of time. I think it's better to go for a doctorate when they start to be teenage and by themselves don't want to spend too much time with you. So, you know, there is a synergy over there.
And where are your values in that, what you've just said?
There is a value of education, and I believe it's important to continue your own education as an adult, but it's even more critical when you are responsible of children. So to guide their own education. So there is this value also of, you know, I need kids to take care of them.
And what other values are there?
Maybe the value of patience. You know, and somehow the confidence that things come when they when it's the right time. You know, my idea is to start this in a couple of years. Maybe I will find a way to do it before. Maybe it will happen after. You know, I'm more and more convinced that it will happen.
And where's there resonance of patience in other parts of your life?
It's kind of a pattern somehow of things that as a family we wanted to do and we didn't force them, and things came into place at one stage when we were ready for it. Be it changing country, be it having children. And it's not like we got exactly what we decided we want. It's just that an opportunity came that we were ready to take on.
And when you talk about we, just lean back and look at the doctorate from a different angle. What are you noticing now?
So when you mention we, of course, my wife popped up in my mind, and that's another element of the system that is getting more complex somehow. The necessity also for my wife to blossom in her own career. The time that it means it takes, and the difference of focus that it gives. So yeah, that is the thing. The overall complexity of the system is of course when we are aging, not getting simpler. The fact also that you need to consider the age of kids and you know their school age, and when it is the right moment to change places, and the grandparents that are not getting younger neither. So a lot of things to consider. And that's where the virtue of patience is also important.
Beautiful. And when you look at what you've drawn, and when you connect in here with what you've said, what are you noticing about the spaces in what you've said and what's on your drawing?
I think instinctively what I would like to do over there is to bring more space for my wife also to grow. I think in the coming years that will be also one of the priority, and that is prime versus me going to towards here.
And what will that bring to you?
You know, as a family unit, it's important, like, to encourage your partner also going into a direction where they can be happy and fulfilled and develop themselves in a way that that they are satisfied with. So there is only benefits to that. It's quite interesting, actually, because you meet somebody and you live together for a while, but everybody is developing new interests somehow, and you need to, you know, it's not a static environment somehow. So, so I find it's great, you know, like she was hesitating as well to do a doctorate. But she did, she started back some studies again, and she said, no, that's good enough for me. She wants to work. So there is a thing over there. And already, you know, like when you're shifting from a mother that is at home since a couple of years now and going back to work, the kids need to adapt as well.
So we've just got about 1 minute left, Alex. Let's go really wide. I invite you to really, you know, put your posture really expansive and look at all of this in terms of who you're being in our world. What's your bigger purpose here in relation to the topic of the doctorate?
So what jumped in my mind is the pattern, you know. Somehow I think unconsciously what I'm trying to replicate is the deep influence that my grandfather got on me and several of my cousins by just being the person he was, by being an intellectual in a family where you know, my father is in the construction, you know, like it's not this type of environment. And you know, like I think like becoming this type of person is incredibly influential on the younger generation. So I think this is what I'm trying to replicate somehow.
And what's your biggest learning from our time, our short time together on this call just now?
It's an interesting reflection on to what extent we have freedom of thought somehow, or if our ambitions and things are coming from other people. That's what I take away. It doesn't really make it less of a desire. It just gives you a little bit more insight around where do they come from.
Thank you.
Thanks, Claire.
Thank you very much. So, Alex, is it okay if we discuss that and do a debrief? Thank you. So, take yourself off mute or write in the chat. What did you notice? What was the biggest thing that you noticed during that snippet?
Hello.
Hi, Sabine.
Hello. Well, first, thank you, Alex, to volunteer. And probably because we are in a system, so probably you are one voice of the big system. So your topic is also lives in each and every one of us. Maybe not doctorate, but something else. What made it really powerful, I think, for Alex is the silence and lots of silence from your part, Claire. Very short, punctual questions and complete silence. This allowed him probably to take the time. And even when he was taking his time, you really let him go. And I think this is the power of silence.
It's almost like silence with so much in it. Is it really silence? Thank you.
The wisdom of silence. Thank you.
Yeah, space and silence. Let Alex think. Thank you, Michelle. What else have we got there? Time to reflect, yeah, on the system and the space. Clean questioning. Anyone else like to share verbally? Accessing the intelligence in the body. And Sylviane.
Hi, if I may. Sorry, can I?
Go ahead.
If I can share. Well, thank you very much for this demo. It was very impressive. And what I noticed that I think was really powerful was allowing Alex to connect with the system, with his environment, but also take a step back and look at it from the distance. And this change of perspective, I think, was quite powerful and made a huge impact on how he now relates to this desire to write the PhD. So that was my impression of it.
Yeah, and I think using geography, physically moving, even though we are online, is something that we can tap into even more. Thank you. Alex.
So something that might not have been apparent because because it's happening within me, but something that was very impactful for me was the ability to see my system as I was drawing it. For example, the realization that my system is very simple somehow. You know, there was my family unit and a person that is not there anymore. And, you know, the simplicity of the drawing shows also something about, motivation and everything. Like, I guess the system of other person will be crowded with a lot of other people. And there is something really impactful around putting it on paper. So encouraging your coachee to write, even if you don't see the drawing itself. It allows basically to take a distance from your thought and to anchor them.
If I can add on to that, I noticed, Alexander, the simplicity of the drawing was also reflected in your relationship, your partnership with Claire, the simplicity of her questions and that simple necessity of space just seemed to keep reflecting back throughout the conversation. So thank you for naming that.
You have something like, I don't remember who said that great leadership is always the ability to simplify. And I think it's the same with coaching.
Yeah, like a sieve, getting it down. And you see, there's a million things that were in my mind, and I try to delete so many of them or just let them stay around here to be fully present. So one thing I noticed was it was quite linear, and yet there was this woo in the middle. Yeah. And yet that came and I let it go because there was something else going on with Alex at that particular moment. And there's a million places we can always go in a coaching session. And then, of course, we can use physical things and move them about either on the screen or in person to represent different people. And how far they're placed or how close they are. All of this, how big they are, whichever we choose, all of this is data for us to tap into. Anything else to share before we move on?
One thing that I notice when clients are doing this constellations work, the coach doesn't actually need to see the drawing. So it's great to see it, but the coach doesn't need to see it if the tools aren't available. So it's encouraging the client to use it, even if it's just a piece of paper with them, because of course they're the ones who are getting the insights from them.
Absolutely. Yeah, you don't need video. You can do this just on the phone. Totally. And sometimes with that, I've had clients take a photo and choose to share afterwards, which is another way to keep the connection going.
Just a little trick on that, like I'm drawing a lot. So for me, I don't have any barrier around drawing, but a lot of people do. So if you start a session with somebody like that, it's quite enabling to ask them, like, draw a cat for me. And it doesn't have to be a beautiful cat, it just has to be your cat, and draw a person, and just enable them to play with drawing. And after you can start the session. So in Lego, we are working a lot with creativity and team creativity, and it's not because you have like a designer that they know how to draw. So you always start with some little games like that to start and make people a little bit in the mood for it.
And one thing I've done around that is also say to people, I don't need to understand your drawings. They are your drawings. And when we're talking, that can always like, it's okay, thank goodness. Yeah, that can help people support psychological safety.
It's not graded, you need to tell us.
Absolutely. Oh gosh, yeah. Gosh, that takes me back to, it feels like another life. I was a teacher and covering technology lesson, textiles, and a 14-year-old said to me, I know their age because it stuck in my mind, I'm not good at art. Where does this come from? My primary school teacher told it me when I was about 5 years old, and you think, gosh, whew, wow, there's so much, isn't there, that that sticks with us, good and not so.
Can I say something, Claire?
Absolutely.
It's been building since I made my comment in the chat, and I think what we're discussing here may be one could play with as a parallel process around what the grandfather might represent. You know, what doing something to honor the grandfather, something to explore and just have in mind, you know, and maybe connecting back to that example of how our authority figures, our teachers, leave both positive and not so positive marks on us. So that, for me, that was the moment where I was like, oh, when I heard about the grandfather, I was thinking, wonder what more is here.
Absolutely. And then in terms of the relationship between myself and Alex, there's stuff in that system that may be or may not be relevant in terms of what's shared and what isn't shared. So much to think about. So we're going to move on. Any way you wish to close this part, Alex?
Unfortunately, I will have to go because I have an appointment to eat an ice cream. And it is something in those days that I will really go for. So thanks a lot for the session, Claire, and the opportunity. And have a great session, guys.
Thank you for coming.
Alex.
Enjoy the kids and wife and ice cream this afternoon.
Enjoy it.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. So where we're going now, we're putting you in, if it works out, twos, and we're going to leave you there for 10 minutes. So about 4 minutes each way, and then a little bit of discussion to change over. And we want you to do what's just been demonstrated. So you can go to share screen and whiteboard and draw on that. If you've got a stilo, obviously it looks a lot better than if you're just drawing with your mouse, etc. Or we asked you to bring paper, you can draw and literally hold it up to show your partner. So, or there may be just things about, I always have this bell here, things around you that you might pick up and just want to move. And we encourage you today to go with something that isn't too deep, because there isn't the time to really go deep and really explore and possibly move towards some sort of pure or what am I trying to say? Going for a short little snippet and going too deep isn't what we want you to do. We want you to actually play with the process and the activity. And that's why doing something here instead of way down, you will get more out of it. Make sense? Okay. So 5 minutes each way. You'll stay with the same person for the 10 minutes. Enjoy your session. We'll see you in 10 minutes.
Okay, since the numbers are changing, Claire, I will need to recreate the group. Don't worry, guys. You can even go to an idea of how you can implement this in your work, what ideas you can share. So not necessarily a full session. Don't get scared. So recreate, and then some rooms they have 3, some rooms they have 2 because of the numbers. So if you're 3, one can be an observer, or you can have a discussion together, right?
Or a little bit less time on each.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Enjoy it.
There we go.
There you go. How was it?
Oh, are we the only ones who are back? Oh, no.
Everyone else must have been walking slowly. So, biggest learnings from the breakouts in a nutshell. What did you learn?
There was an interesting question by my fellow Renata. Renata, would you like to ask that question?
Okay, thank you. Hi.
Hi.
Okay, a question, because I'm quite familiar with Gestalt therapy as well, and sometimes often I use some experiments from Gestalt therapy in coaching sessions, and I'm wondering, some maybe similarities and differences, like coaching experiments, shared experiments, for example. It's kind of constellation experiment, isn't it? Or just maybe your opinion.
So, using things like empty chair, I use that in a constellation.
Yeah.
Drag in the chair, or if it's online, get someone to literally stand up and sit back down to be in that energy. I use so many Gestalt therapy techniques in coaching, remembering, of course, that coaching is now and future. If it dips too far into the past, then that may mean, obviously, referral to counselling or psychotherapy.
Thank you.
That's a very important distinction you brought in, Claire. We should not be dwelling much in the past. We should look into the future.
Now and future is the best, for coaching.
Yes.
Yeah, and yet it's how, I'll just say this without reference. Sometimes things that have happened in the past, I didn't want to talk about Alex's piece when he's not here. Sometimes things happen in the past that impact us now. So it's in terms of that, what are you experiencing right now? So the past is part of us, and yet the focus is here and now and future. Make sense? Anyone else? Any learning? Sausan, you said you wanted to share.
Yeah, actually, I discussed with my partner Christian that about how powerful is how to be visual. But what about people who don't like to visualize their topic? What we can use for that? we suggested cards. And how can we use it in the coaching sessions? How to go deep? What does this card mean to you? And going and diving in this coaching session. But actually, I don't know. From my experience, I meet people who don't like to visualize their topic at all. They like just to talk about this.
So there's an interesting thing there. There's cards, words, shapes, things, even playing and experimenting with clay, painting, all sorts of things. And then there's also the thing, what people's preferences in terms of their learning style, and being with that, whilst also, for the sake of learning, giving them a stretch. And if it's a brand new session with a brand new client, then I would open it up and it's their choice to dip into whatever. And instead of saying things like, what do you see right now? Or what do you feel right now? What are you experiencing? Because that brings in so many more senses. So that, similar to how do you want to play with this? Yeah, and even just moving in the body, you know, sitting in a different position and what's there? This, you know, the space as well.
Claire, can I add something to it?
Absolutely.
See how our brain works. Our brain understands two things, either visual or storytelling, right? So if that person is not a visual, or the person can be auditory or kinesthetic, right? So if the visual is not working, the storytelling may work, because even when somebody is telling a story, unconsciously some visual map is happening in the brain, right? So that's how the hippocampus will work.
And then there's also into that as well narrative. Some people need to and have to write, even if it's just words as they go along. Yes. Even if they never look at that word again, it helps them to bring out what's there. Yeah. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay.
Hi. Yes.
Hi.
Hi. Yeah.
Sarah.
I have enjoyed the experience because it depends on who's the coachee, who's the client, because it's either I will surf going into the mind or to the body. I love to go into the body because I feel the body is full of wisdom. Body can answer everything and can give us all the data, all the maps that wherever we need to understand and go. So exploring it through body was really interesting and rich.
Beautiful. So much in there in terms of existentialism and going back to who we really are as a human being in this world.
Yeah, and we and we can sculpt each other. Like I can get a sculpture of the other client and feel and share, because our bodies can mirror each other, can echo each other in a session when we are present. And I have enjoyed this as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And then with all of this is using self as instrument. And it's even more important, we feel, in team coaching. What's going on for me and what can I share for the team for the sake of them exploring what that means to them? Yeah, and intuition, of course. So much, so much. Shall we move on? Okay, so we've done a demo and you've had a practice as well. And a little bit about group sculpts. So we talked about it can be, for example, in fact, just close your eyes and I'll talk you through this one. So imagine we've got a team or an organization and they are talking about a particular project and they keep hitting a brick wall. So we can do a sculpt as part of a constellation in terms of, sorry, that should say drama, in terms of every person takes on a particular stakeholder. So one person may be the legal office, another one, you know, the Ministry of Labour, another one an environmentalist, another one the CEO, and so forth, internal and external stakeholders. And we ask people to connect with the voice of that particular stakeholder in the system in relation to the topic, and we see what comes up for them. And then we ask also, where does, for example, the organisation or the team need to be at its edge for the sake of the needs of the different stakeholders? And it can also be a way of exploring blockages. So it can be people physically stood around, or their faces on Miro or Jamboard, and they can move around. And then we say, stay, and we explore what's there, and then shift to what's needed. Make sense? Another way of doing it. So Sculpt is actually enabling people to embody what's going on, usually for someone else. Whereas technically, a constellation, we're talking from I, and really training people to talk from I as opposed to they is really important as well. So that's a sort of, sometimes we need to do that as a skill drill so that people are owning what they're saying. Because people say we, actually all the team doesn't feel the same as that particular person. Okay, so just a little top tip there. So I'm going to move down this very quickly and we'll share it later. So the purpose of the process is to, for example, ensuring that everyone knows what's happening in the room stays in the room. What is going out of the room afterwards in terms of the content or the learning? And that needs to be pre-contracted before session with, for example, the executive sponsor or the team leader. And then it also needs to be addressed really clearly with the whole team so that everyone's clear what stays, what obviously the learning goes, but what else is shared afterwards outside the session. And maybe nothing is shared at all and everything is kept within the team. And then also the other thing here, in terms of the methodology, these are three nice things to think about, as I always keep them in my mind in terms of 3 Qs. What is this activity good for? Do I trust the methodology and its impact? Is it dangerous? And so the type of things to think about there is, and when psychological safety is not present, what's the impact then for an individual and even the whole team? So keeping them front and center is a great way as a check-in when we're doing this work. And then things to think of in terms of contracting. Just some top tips, no one gets it wrong. Everyone joins in. I get that out even before the session so people are clear. When they come, no one sits on the sides, even leave chairs out the room if it's physically in a room. All hearing or listening will go in beyond words. That can need some unpacking and explaining. And then we're in a thinking environment where everyone has an amount of time for them to talk and so forth. Again, those will be shared. So we're going to an activity now, and here's what's going to happen. We're going to put a link in the chat, and in a second, click that link and you'll go straight to Miro. And when you get there, put your name on a sticky, drag a sticky from the left, put your name on a sticky. If you need help, just shout out and we'll show you what to do if you've not done this before. And then the question to think about is this: where are you in your coaching maturity? And the thing is with this, nobody gets it wrong. And it's however you choose to interpret that question. And what we're going to do, we've got a number of boards there on Miro. we've got this one, and we've got this one, and a couple of others. And we're going to actually ask you, when we get to Miro, to just look at them. So Miro will show us all of them. I think there's 5, A, B, C, D, E, and you vote which one you want to play with us for the next 20 minutes, half hour. And we will go with whichever is chosen by the group today. Okay, so think of that question. Where are you in your coaching maturity? Press the link, go to Miro, write your name on a sticky or shout out, how do I do that? And then we'll all meet in Miro and we'll have some deep learning and reflection and fun. Everyone okay? Cool.
All right, so what I'll do first is maybe take some votes on which Miro would you want to have. And it's a little bit more than that. We will share the examples with you and not to confuse you a lot. Okay, so number 1 is this one. So if you like number 1, tell us you want number 1. Number 2.
Interestingly, I chose that one yesterday and I really liked that one, but it's not my favorite now.
There, you're leading. All right, so this is the second one. Okay.
And we're all working on the same one that's chosen, just so you know.
Exactly, yeah. So where's the third? Yeah, this is the third one. It's a gallery. Okay. 4th, only doors. Okay, 5, a beach. 6, shopping mall. I think, yeah. 7 and 8, both are landscapes. So we have this. And we have this. And we will not go towards the rest. The rest are example. We have airport and we have garden. Okay.
So number 1's horse, number 2's fair, number 3 is gallery view, number 4 is door, that rhymes, number 5 is beach, number 6 is shopping, number 7 and 8 are landscape. Put your number in and we'll see which one we choose.
Good. So we have 3, 4, 7, and what's the difference? 8, 1. What is this, Claire? Everybody's in a different board.
Everyone's in a totally different mood.
So we have 2 8s and 2 3s. 2 8 and 3 8s. Okay. 7 and 8. Okay, so
executive decision. We're going with 8.
So once you're here, I'll pull you all to this board. You will need to pick. Let me just double check. I'll lock this. Pick one of the sticky notes, okay, and then place it where you are according to the question Claire and asked, and write your name. How to write your name? If you're not familiar with it, just scroll a little bit further and then just type your name. Click anywhere. It's a normal sticky note. You can shift it anywhere you want. Okay. So share, can edit, copy, in chat. Here we go. Now, you will come to me once you're in. Even bring everyone to me. Grab your sticky note from top. Here we go. Now, bring it down here.
So names on stickies. Where are you? Right.
You can put your initials.
Today? Yeah, in terms of your coaching maturity. Oh, I like the way you've got your picture there as well, Renata.
Well, Samira, I picked many stickers, but I don't think I've got anyone that want to work with me.
Oh, okay. You tell me and I can place it for you. Go ahead.
No, I'd love
I want
to
to do
do
it
it.
myself. Okay. So,
I
do you see where's my
tried it.
name? Pick the
Yes.
sticky next to my name and write on it, and then try to drag it and throw it somewhere.
So I drag, let's say, a green one.
Okay. Click on
And
a
then I
double
drag.
click and write your name.
Oh, it's the double click.
Yeah. Hello?
Even just your initial if you wish.
Yeah, even here we go. Excellent.
So where is it once I double click?
Just go, let me just bring you here to me. Okay.
Here?
Yeah.
No. Okay.
What did you write on your sticky note?
Is it this one? Where are you?
Sylviane's written on it, yeah.
SC?
Yes.
You're SC? Okay, we can see it here.
No, I'm not
Here we go.
SC. I'm not SC.
What did you write on your screen, on your sticky note?
Nothing, because I don't get the sticky note that I can relate to or that sticks.
Ah, the sticky note will stick anywhere as long as you place it.
The idea is to put your name on it. Will
And
you
then
write
pull it in.
Sylviane on one of the stickers, Samira, and then
Yes.
place yourself in terms of the picture as a metaphor? Where are you in terms of your coaching maturity?
I'm not sure how to do this either, how to get the sticky note.
So also, don't worry about this if you know the technology is new to you, because we won't
I have
exclude
the same
you.
issue.
Don't worry, we won't exclude you. Everyone will have their turn to airtime to share their voice, and you can literally tell us where you are on that picture even without a sticky. So what's useful with the stickies, if this is an activity with a team, we can actually see, for example, if this is a team, just lean back, look at that, the team is all over the place. Okay, if everyone was near the water, and what's that? And just because they're all near the water, that doesn't mean everyone's experiencing the same thing. It means they're all near the water, and then we go to each person to explore what's resonant in terms of water and the way the team are right now in terms of process, or whatever the topic is that's being discussed. So don't worry about the stickies. If you've not done, just don't let us leave you out. And Nilufer, will you start with us? Or who would like to play first? And by play, what I mean is I'm going to be coaching you a little bit in terms of where you've placed yourself on this board in terms of your coaching maturity. Who would like to play?
Yeah, I can go.
Thank you. Now,
and Moy, I put that in the ground because I'm playing with it. I'm trying to find my grounding, that where I stand in terms of my coaching competency. So that's the metaphor I'm using here.
Okay, and when you're on the ground, what are you experiencing?
Well, I'm feeling the environment. I'm trying to see how my roots go, how deeper are my roots. Am I really grounded or I'm not so grounded? So that's what I'm feeling.
And how deep are your roots right now in terms of your coaching maturity?
I don't know yet because I am in an exploration phase. So it's discovery and emergence.
Discovery and emergence. And what's it like to discover and emerge?
I'm enjoying the journey. That's what I'm, that's what is important to me. I'm enjoying the journey and helping other people in the process.
Beautiful. And when you're enjoying the journey and helping other people in the process, who are you being?
I will draw the metaphor of a honeybee. Because the honeybee is just doing whatever the honeybee is doing without knowing that a lot of other things happening. Right?
Thank you, Tanmori. And if there was a place where you need to be next in this picture, where would that place be?
I would be staying on the ground. Maybe I will choose a high ground to get a better vantage point.
And what will being on the high ground, getting a better vantage point, bring to the clients in your system that you work with?
I can see more. That means I can have a global view. So with that global view, I'll be able to see more options.
And what else is there when you see more options?
Well, that helps in my coaching range. I can be very versatile in my coaching range, choosing the tools which is just suitable in that context.
And what way would you sum up our very short conversation that we've just had around your coaching maturity?
I'm happy where I am and the journey continues.
Fabulous. Thank you very much. Thank you for playing.
Thanks for your time. And thanks for holding the space for me.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Tanmori.
So, yeah. So who would like to play next?
I'll be very happy to play next. I'm Agnieszka.
Okay. I have a fear that I don't say your name wrong. Agnieszka, is that okay?
Yes, it's perfect. Yes.
Okay. So actually, Agnieszka, what I'm going to do is see if it's okay with you, if there's any other coach that would like to explore with you where you are right now. Any other, is that okay with you, first of all?
Yeah, that's fine.
That's a great idea.
Any other coaches on our call that would like to explore with Agnieszka?
I'm happy to support if no one else wants to.
Have a go, Marie. Thank you.
Great.
Over to you. So Marie, will you be the coach and explore with Agnieszka?
Okay, I misunderstood, Claire.
And I can't see you on the screen, so yeah.
I thought you wanted me to partner with you as you were coaching us both. Misunderstood.
Would you like to, or we go to you next? Your choice.
I'm happy to.
Go for it.
Hopefully I can see Anushka's and getting her
So
name.
you can look at it from the Zoom screen, then I will zoom in and out with on Anushka's sticker, if that's easier.
Where is
Here we go.
Anushka?
On the Zoom screen?
Okay, let's have a look at the Zoom screen. Okay.
And if you see Samira's name,
yes,
she's next door.
Okay, welcome to coaching.
Thank you.
So where are you right now in this picture?
I put myself kind of on the edge of the village, and for me it means that I'm leaving the familiar and I'm going up the hill to discover new opportunities.
And what's that like for you here?
It's quite a big thing for me, actually, because I'm changing. After 20 odd years being a teacher, I'm changing my career completely and I'm becoming a coach. And I'm very excited because what I've learned, discovered so far has been transformational and inspirational. And at the same time, I'm leaving my roots. I'm leaving my, the accepted and familiar, and I'm going into the unknown. So there's this forest in front of me, so I can't really see what's next. And I know that the journey uphill will be long and full of surprises, but I'm looking forward to seeing the view when I get to the top.
Thank you, Anushka, for sharing that. I noticed there's a lot of things happening in my body right now. What's happening for you as you shared that?
I'm looking forward to the journey, and I feel like, you know, my bag is packed, and I'm ready. I'm ready to go, and I'm excited about that.
And in this place that you've put yourself in this picture, what's in your bag?
There are memories of my past career. Well, not so much past, but my current career. Good ones. There are friendships that are, some of them are old, some of them are new. And the new ones are the ones that will help me go through the forest. There's also a lot of new knowledge and skills. And these are the most important things, I think, that I'm carrying.
And as you look around at this image, Anushka, is there anything else important for you to be aware of in this stage of the journey?
That it's not going to be all easy. There will be probably some obstacles, and the view is not clear yet. But I think it's going to be worth the effort.
And the last question, Anushka, what is that like for you, knowing it's worth the effort?
It gives me the energy to move forward, to move up the hill.
Thank you, Anushka. And as we're closing off, what is the thing you're taking away most from this coaching experience?
I think the realization that I'm on the right path, and I have my bag prepared for the journey.
Thank you, Anushka. I appreciate you playing.
Thank you very much for holding space for me.
Thank you both. That was lovely. And it's amazing how much we can lean in and connect with others, whether we've been on the journey or not. There's such resonance in this type of activity. And it can go back to our cognitive in terms of, where am I in that? And what's going on for me right now? So it's silent coaching for the others in the constellation as well. So who else would like a go?
I'd like
and
to.
It may be, okay, so are you on the board or not, Renata?
Yes, I am. Close to Agnieszka.
There we are.
Upper,
Yeah, I see you. So what's it like there?
You know, it was quite funny for me because I wanted to put the sticker even upper because I enjoy landscape, I enjoy view, and I like hiking. And my first impression or first, willingness was just to put somewhere up. But suddenly I realized myself, okay, but I'm not so feeling, so much mature if I take this in terms of higher,
And so what beliefs are there for you?
Actually, I'm enjoying the view and I'm enjoying the coaching itself. I'm looking for new perspectives. I'm looking and experiencing different methods as well. So I'm feeling myself as actually both, and observer and in a practice.
Your energy shifted a little bit. Observer and inner practice. And when you're an observer and in a practice, what's your impact?
Being an observer meeting myself.
Wow.
And in the same time, I'm more here and now and meeting other. Being an observer, it's not to be involved, but seeing more and something beyond.
And if you turned up the volume as observer, what would that bring?
More awareness. It's everything about awareness.
Awareness like what?
Awareness like feeling and understanding the meaning. And the purpose.
And in terms of your coaching maturity, when you feel and understand the meaning and the purpose, where will that take you?
It takes me sometimes to take breaks and really to enjoy this view. Don't rush. Just to feel, observe, embody. So take time.
And interestingly, I feel there's a parallel in our relationship, because you were speaking so calmly and you were taking your time.
That's wonderful, because I am a very fast person, very fast. But suddenly I feel myself really enjoying just here, just noticing. So beautiful.
What way can you lock this in, the hearing and noticing?
One word came into my mind. I just honor the moment. Yeah. So wonderful.
Thank you, Renata.
Thank you very much.
I can feel the wonder.
Wow. Thank you very much, really.
So we probably have space for one more person. If you're not on the screen with your name, or if you are, is there anyone that would like
Hi, I'm
a little
interested.
exploration? Is that Sarah?
Yes.
Sarah. So where are you in terms of your coaching maturity?
I would be either in the middle of the lake. I think the middle of the lake is very much my place.
You think the middle of the lake is very much your place?
It feels like.
Do you think that, or you know that?
It feels like this is home for me. And as I say it, I wonder, is it the middle? The middle of the lake seems very much home. The clouds seem to be a place I visit quite a lot.
And when you're in the middle of the lake, home, what's there?
Lots of exploration and going deeper and deeper, more than wider and wider.
And what's important to you when you're home, going deeper and deeper, more than wider and wider?
It feels so intimate, actually.
It feels so intimate. And when it's intimate, it's what?
Transparent. I'm not hiding anything there.
When you're not hiding, who are you being in terms of your coaching maturity?
I'm being too open.
And being too open creates what?
creates lots of inner work, less action.
So from this short time, being too open creates lots of inner work and less action. What do you need right now in terms of your coaching maturity?
The question is it about leaving comfort zone and going to the place least visited, like action, or is it about staying where I am really strong and home? I don't know.
Put your hand on your heart and close your eyes. Do you need to leave or do you need to stay?
It feels, I see a bird, I see myself as a bird, and this bird is in the lake and it could fly anytime when it is time to fly. It's not about something I should decide or push myself for. It's a journey. And I see this image now, yeah.
So I invite you, maybe after this session, to have a chat with that bird and see what comes up for you. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, dear.
So, wow. Let's all go back to the Zoom room. Anything anyone wants to share in terms of that activity, and not so much the content of what people shared, but the process and what you observed? So the demonstration, deep appreciation, the creative experience, yeah, it's just amazing how much people connect with these metaphors. And when you do that for a whole team who all talk from a different place, you can get even more, and such generative thinking altogether. It is such a powerful tool. I also feel, to be honest, that after what's just been done, it almost doesn't feel the right moment right now to dissect and go to, you know, the way of doing, because that's still resonating in terms of what people were experiencing and sharing. So I'm sort of thinking we'll leave that, and we've got 1 or 2 more slides, and then we will close. So, I didn't share my slide. I shared the wrong screen there. Apologies. Where are we now? I've lost my slides.
You want me to share it from my end, Claire?
Yeah, I don't know where they've gone. Thank you. Oh.
Which ones for other examples?
Yes.
Okay.
Other examples is the perfect place. So we've done things like you can use a hotel, or you can use something relevant to the organization, like their values, and they can stand on different ones. Shopping malls, racing track, when we were working with people at the Grand Prix track. And then the next slide, Samira, World Map's a fabulous one. And then things like stakeholder mapping, team purpose, getting out the elephant in the room, all brilliant activities in terms of connecting with this together as a team. And then one project we did was with Bahrain Airport Company, big, massive room in terms of where to place the new airport. And the learning came out for everyone, and especially myself and Samira, in terms of, wow, you know, working out which way to fly in and fly out, and where that was in terms of Saudi Arabia airspace compared to Bahrain airspace. Just so much that you don't necessarily think about. And then what's under all this and the infrastructure that's behind it. And then obviously you can use this in coach training so much, bringing empty chair, asking someone to sit in as a stakeholder, as we mentioned before, talking about what's symptomatic, how it manifests, and what's the actual symptom, the root cause, and so forth. A million ways. Let's go to the next slide. You know what? I'm going to write some notes under these later because it goes a bit heavy and I'm feeling that the time isn't quite right. So if we skip forward 2, we'll just briefly go through the last few slides. We'll share this. We've got a mental coaching program coming up starting on Wednesday for those who want mentoring for their credentialing or development. Coaching certification program coming up in May. And then levels 1 to 6 is our ACTP program. And also we've done the first cohort of our certification in mentor coaching, and that's happening again at the end of March. I think that's enough for the slides. And to close, let's just share really briefly, because I don't want to take more of your time. Just share something either out loud or in the chat, something you're going to action from attending this session. So not the reflection, let's jump to what are you going to act upon in your work or your life from this session? Anyone like to share? Yes, Sabine.
Thank you very much for both of you. Really beautiful creating this space, and thank you for everyone. What I'm taking is I'm going to put my nose and learn Miro and all this tool because I'm a technology idiot, and it's amazing because it's really work and beautiful. So I'm going to really start learning it and
I love it.
use my brain to really integrate it. So thank you so much for sharing it.
Thank you. Thank you. Samira's an absolute superstar at this type of stuff.
No, I'm not. I just play a lot. I'm good at hiding stuff, yeah.
Anyone else like to share? Self-compassion, nice, Renata. Revisit constellations, Nuna. Explore the tools further and put it into practice. You can even play with it on your own and see what comes up for you by moving things around, different pictures. Pleasure.
We do these sessions every month, at least twice. And if you're interested to join our Coach Me community to know about these sessions and other stuff, please, if you can, fill the form for us. It's an evaluation on the session for us, and also we can get in touch with you, and of course for your CCEs as well.
Mm-hmm. So for the CCEs, we're spies. We find out and know how long everyone's attended. We know who came on and how long. So email us if you would like the CCE certificate. If you were only here an hour, obviously we follow the rules. You'll get yours for 1 CCE as opposed to 2. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure being with you all. Our next session is, I believe it's the last day of March, and we've got an absolute whiz, another one from Lego Serious Play, and you'll be asked to bring some Lego with you to literally have a go of playing with Lego. End of the month.
Thank you.
Have a
Bye.
lovely
Thank you.
day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Night. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Take care.
Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much.
Bye-bye.
Very
Pleasure.
appreciated.
Thank you.